Theatrical Shenanigans with
Catherine Filloux.
Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Theatrical Shenanigans as we reach the halfway point of this season. I hope you enjoyed the plays you've heard so far, as well as the chats I've had with the fabulous guests. And speaking of fabulous guests, my guest this week has a truly fascinating story. She's a French-Algerian American who comes with the titles award-winning playwright, librettist, and activist. She's had plays produced in the USA and internationally, but she's also travelled to areas of conflict producing plays that address human rights. Her current list of locations includes Bosnia, Cambodia, Guatemala, Haiti, Iraq, Morocco, Northern Ireland, and Sudan and South Sudan. So truly an incredible woman I can't wait to chat to. Welcome, Catherine, for you.
Hey, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much, Rachel.
It's wonderful to have you here. So, as always, I start with the very beginning of the story. What got you started in the arts world?
So I was the child of immigrants. I grew up in California. The parents came from Algeria and from France.
Oh, wow.
And so already there was a certain amount of cultural mixing, and that gave me the chance to look at the world and different aspects of it. And French was my first language, so I was always an outsider trying to fit in, which led me to start writing about human rights issues. And I then wrote a certain amount about genocide, which made me travel to a lot of countries where I continued my inquiry as I wrote plays about primarily women who were survivors, who had stories about families and about conflict and how those could be surmounted.
It's a very unique style of playwriting in the sense that you obviously write about and perform in areas of conflict and focus specifically on human rights. Was it just kind of your upbringing that made you focus on that, or was there something else that took you down that very unique road?
I think it was a story that I started exploring about a group of Cambodian women refugees in the United States who suffered from psychosomatic blindness after what they witnessed during the Khmer Rouge regime. And that led me to explore U.S. complicity and how the U.S. has been responsible for a variety of conflicts, and then also made me research PTSD a lot. And so my productions are primarily in the United States and in New York, I would say, but then have led me to, for example, Iraq, where I had a play done about an honor killing in Kurdish, and a variety of other countries through, I would say, a combination of the networks of communities that I've built and the content and how it relates to the country.
And I was like, you describe yourself as a as an activist. Are there specific causes that you kind of feel a more inert passion to write about than others?
Yes. So for me, activism came from the artwork as opposed to the other way around. I began as a playwright, and I did my work in the theater, and that led me to start believing in certain causes to do with art in conflict zones and how that can be used, violence against women across the board, issues of trauma, PTSD. I think that would be the main causes or the main subjects.
Mm. But then as a kind of completely separate or opposing branch, you also written the text for multiple operas as well. What made you decide that was something you wanted to explore?
So with the opera libretto, that came because I was approached by either a composer or by an opera company uh, to work on a project that was already set up in the sense that a composer was already on board, the
Mm.
company had already decided to commission the work, and they brought me on to be the librettist to write the words. So that was the way that those projects came to be.
So what is on the horizon for you? What's kind of up and coming and what's next for you?
Yes, so we closed our musical, which is called Welcome to the Big Dipper. And that was a musical that was off Broadway here in New York. And that was a project that took 10 years. And it took us 10 years to get to the point where it had its premiere here in New York. And we're doing the cast album for that, so there'll be the cast album and also a video of the production. And I have a new play which is very much being imagined and written right now, which is called Third Person. And it is the story of a 15-year-old boy and his mother, who is a private school English teacher.
Mm.
And the boy goes to the same school. And then it also involves the CEO of a defense conglomerate. So I'm working on that right now.
So last question, and I've been told this is probably one of the hardest ones I ask. Do you have a standout moment, a moment where you kind of look back and think, yes, this is why I do what I do?
I had the play Eyes of the Heart done in New York after doing this was the play about the women who suffered from psychosomatic blindness. And it was a play that was long in coming. In other words, I worked on it for a long time, and it kind of led to other things that I was doing before it was produced. And when it actually came together to be produced, it really was a standout moment in the sense that it really showed me how theater, when it comes to the actual delivery or the when it finally comes to actually be on stage, is such a collaborative process. So that was a very exciting moment in my career.
Now we move on to our playwright and play for this episode. Andrew Martineau originally joined me as a guest back in season 2 to discuss George Sapio's play Maria and Little Joey Have a Baby. However, outside of his work with Theatrical Shenanigans, he lives in the DC area of Washington and has several equity showcases of his work by Lub Creek Productions in New York. He also founded Sundial Theatre Company, which produced plays focusing on disability from 2003 to 2007. He's had multiple productions right across the US, as well as a piece published by Next Stage Press. Andrew's play today is called Spin Cycle and sees Mandy sitting in a laundromat waiting on her clothes before being joined by Jim. The two strike up a conversation and quickly start to bond as they sit and wait for their clothes to get clean. Theatrical Shenanigans presents Spin Cycle by Andrew Martineau.
Dog.
You okay over there?
No, I am not okay.
You need help or anything?
No, I do not need any help, thank you.
Let me guess. You forgot to bring change.
No, I have $3 in change.
Oh, well, good.
I forgot to bring soap for the washer.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
You don't sound sorry.
I am.
Jeez, I hate this. Why don't they sell soap here?
If you remember to bring your clothes, how did you forget the soap?
Easy. My dirty clothes are kept in one room and my soap is kept in another.
Maybe you should keep them in the same room together.
Good idea. Is that what you do?
What?
Do you keep your dirty clothes and your soap together in one room?
Oh, no.
Well, then how do you remember to bring them both?
I have a mind. That works.
Well, for your information, so do I.
Really? Which room do you keep it in?
I keep it right up here, where it belongs.
Excuse me, but I need to get back to this fascinating story about this poor little baby girl in Wyoming who was born with full developed breasts.
I don't believe that.
It says it right here. I wonder if that means she can breastfeed herself.
Do you really think that's true?
Who am I to doubt it? Babies have been known to come out looking pretty strange sometimes. You know, I feel sorry for this baby girl. She looks awful young to be wearing a training bra.
Let me see. Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh, wait, listen to this. It says here that the baby was the result of a doctor's attempt at artificial insemination with a prostitute and the sperm of an alien from the planet Neptune. This can't be true.
I told you.
Well, I knew it all along. I just like to pretend it is.
What for?
It's fantasy. It's like this book I'm reading now. It's called Amanda and the Mayans. It's about this voluptuous woman from Spain named Amanda who seduces every single male in this tribe of Mayans.
It sounds dumb.
Of course it's dumb, and I can't wait to finish it so I can read the sequel. It starts out telling how all the Mayan women get together and plot to kill Amanda with blowguns. You know, my name's Amanda. Everyone calls me Mandy, though.
My name's James, but everybody calls me Jim.
I like Jimmy. Can I call you that?
No, only one person calls me Jimmy.
Is it your mother?
No, my fiancée.
You're engaged?
Yes, for 11 years now.
What? That's a long engagement, Jim. Do you live with her now?
No, she lives in Alaska.
That's not exactly close by, Jim. How often do you see her?
The last time I saw her was Christmas Eve, 3 years ago.
Boy, if this relationship works, you gotta tell me about it.
We FaceTime each other every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I ask her if we're still engaged. She always says yes, and then I send her $300 every 6 months.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me get this straight. You pay her just to stay engaged to you?
No? What do you mean?
What does she do for a living?
She waits tables in a bar in Anchorage.
Oh, no, Jimmy. I hate to tell you this, but, what's your fiance's name?
Betsy.
Jim, Betsy may just be pulling your coattails.
What do you mean?
I mean, how do I say this? Betsy might just be using you, so you'll send her money every 6 months.
No, she tells me she's still madly in love with me.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she is. But if she's working in a bar in Alaska and she hasn't married you after 11 years, the odds aren't exactly in your favor.
That's what everyone at work tells me. But you've got to know Betsy. She's a sensitive girl. She needs her space.
Well, that explains Alaska. But why has she waited so long?
She needs time to decide if she's making the right choice.
I see. You're a patient man, Jimmy.
I visited her in Alaska once.
Oh, yeah? How did it go?
Not bad. She showed me where she works and where she lives. It's very cold up there.
Sounds like the perfect place for her.
Why do you say that?
Forget I said that. Look, Jim, have you ever thought about looking for someone else?
No, what would Betsy do?
Something tells me Betsy would do just fine. She'd be making $1,200 less a year, but I think she'd be okay.
I don't know. I thought it would be sooner, but whenever I mention marriage to Betsy, she says, "You just don't understand a woman's needs."
Jim, do me a favor and never think all women are like Betsy. Some of us are pretty nice.
Betsy was real nice when I first met her. It was in an ice cream parlor and my cone dripped down her shoe. She could have yelled at me, but instead she whispered in my ear and said, "Why don't you lick it off?"
In an ice cream parlor? Where are this woman's scruples?
I whispered back in her ear, "No thanks, I'll go and get a napkin."
I bet that burst her bubble.
She was wearing open-toed shoes, I remember.
How do you feel about what she said to you?
I figured she must have thought that they'd run out of napkins because there weren't any out on the counter. I had to ask for some.
So, did you clean her sandal or whatever it was?
Yes, I bent down and I told her I liked the way her legs smelled.
What?
It was summer and she was wearing shorts. And I asked her if she had perfume on her legs, and she said, "No, it's tanning lotion."
You like the way that stuff smells?
Yeah, I did at the time. Well, then she said the drop of ice cream was running down between her legs.
Go on. This is better than Amanda and the Mayans.
Anyway, I cleaned her shoes and her toes with a napkin. And then I asked her what flavor she was eating.
Oh, I bet it was one of those exotic flavors.
Yes, it was, as a matter of fact. I know it had little pieces of pistachio in it because I remember one being on her big toe. That's when I realized her cone dripped too and mixed with some of mine.
You have a good memory.
Oh yeah, I have a great memory.
Keep going. If only my life was this interesting.
Okay, then she asked me what flavor I was eating.
Let me guess. Vanilla?
French vanilla.
Ooh, you're a little wilder than I thought. Go on.
Then I asked her for her phone number.
Are you serious?
Yes. My mother always told me, if you get past hello, how you doing, fine with a girl, ask for her phone number.
Good advice. So, she gave it to you, I'm sure.
Yes, right on the same napkin I had used to clean her toe off with.
How romantic.
That's how it started.
That's a great story, Jimmy.
Your turn
For what?
to tell a story about yourself.
Oh, no. I'm not that good at getting personal. Besides, I gotta put my clothes in the dryer.
I still can't put my clothes in the washing machine yet.
You can borrow some of my soap.
I can pay you for it.
Don't worry about it. After that sad story, I'd like to give you something.
Thank you, Mandy.
You're welcome, Jimmy. Here you go. Stop! You're putting too much in.
I said I'd pay for it.
That's not what I'm talking about. Haven't you ever done laundry before?
All the time. I always use a lot of soap. They stay cleaner longer.
They also fall apart quicker.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. Hey, they're your clothes.
Are you married?
Oh, I suppose we're changing the subject now?
Well, I told you about Betsy. Now it's your turn.
Sorry, Jim, but your story's a little hard to top.
That's all right.
The truth is, I'm not married and never been engaged.
Really? Why not?
No one's ever asked me.
What? I couldn't hear you.
No one's ever asked me.
That's hard to believe.
Why? This may come as a shock to you, Jim, but I just don't go up to strange men in ice cream parlors and ask them to lick my toes.
I guess you've never had ice cream drip on you either.
No. I did have a scoop of ice cream smooshed into my back once by a kid. Of course, he only cared that he lost his ice cream. He screamed like hell. I felt sorry for his mother.
That's too bad.
Worse things have happened. Look, the fact of the matter is, I need to get back to the gym.
Why?
For my own health. I'm not trying to find a man, and I definitely don't want one who just cares about my size, but I do want to start exercising again.
Gyms are expensive.
True. Have you ever gone to one?
No, but I don't really care about my health. I mean, I do, but not enough to go to a gym.
I know what you mean. Where do you work?
I do shoe repair.
I should have guessed. The open-toed shoe comment.
Oh, what do you do for a living?
I'm a school bus driver.
You must like children.
I hate them. No, I'm kidding. I really don't like to work, though. One time, I thought I wanted to open a daycare, but the good thing about driving a bus is you get a nice long break from the screaming in the middle of the day.
Yeah, that's good. I hate screaming.
Yeah? Who doesn't? You ever thought about what it would be like to have kids?
No, not really. I don't know if I could handle the responsibility.
Oh, I bet you could. You have a decent, steady job, right?
Yeah, I guess I do. Betsy thinks I should make more money.
Betsy needs to marry an ATM then, and leave you the hell alone. I'm sorry. I just gotta say, I think what she's done to you ought to be illegal, if it isn't already.
She can be very nice. Before she moved to Anchorage, she used to make me meatloaf.
Okay, well, where is your meatloaf now? Better yet, where is the love, Jim? You deserve so much better.
How do you know?
Everyone does. But you're a nice guy, so you definitely do.
What makes you think I'm a nice guy?
You bring people napkins.
That makes me nice.
You'd be surprised how many men out there wouldn't get a napkin.
If you say so.
You know what else I like about you? I admire the fact that you can make it on your own, without a woman doing everything for you.
I'd still like to be married, though.
You will. One day. If you really want to be.
Your sole needs to be repaired.
What?
Your sole. On your shoe. It needs to be repaired. Let me see the other one. That sole needs to be repaired, too. I could fix them for you. I hope you don't mind me telling you.
Oh, no. I thought you were talking about something else for a second. But you're right. When you drive a school bus for a living, it's kind of hard to spend all your money on shoes.
I could never be a bus driver, especially for children. Even with a break from the screaming.
You just gotta let 'em know who's boss.
That's what I mean. Children can be very bossy.
You could do it.
I can't believe you've never been in love with a nice, smart lady like you.
That's a nice thing to say.
I mean it.
Well, I can't believe you send money to that woman in Alaska. Why do you do it?
She has a lot of back pain.
Good Lord. So, she has insurance, doesn't she?
Yes. Why do you keep asking me about Betsy?
I don't know. I mean, I like when a woman knows what she wants and goes after it, like a bullfighter. That's what I like about Amanda in this book here. But Betsy is milking you, plain and simple. And I know she's your fiancée, but I don't think she's ever going to be your wife. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. I shouldn't have said that.
You're probably right.
Why punish yourself?
I don't want to punish myself. I want to be happy.
I know, Jim. Hey, you want to find out more about this big busted baby?
No thanks.
You know, you're fun to talk to.
You're fun to talk to, too. Would you like a stick of gum?
I'd love a stick. Thanks.
I bet I can chew out all the flavor faster than you can.
Bet you can't. Besides, how are you going to prove it?
You can take my word for it.
Okay, I will. I think I can trust you.
In high school, I was voted most trustworthy.
I was voted most likely to make all of her own clothes.
No, you weren't.
You're right. I wasn't. A lot of things I say aren't true because I like to joke around. But everything you say seems to be. I kind of like that.
I like how you joke around. I don't think I get all of your jokes, though. But it's my fault. I'm a slow learner.
That's not your fault, Jimmy. What does it matter anyway? You got a good job, don't you?
Yes, I like it.
That's great. You know something, Jim?
What?
You're not following your mother's advice this time.
What advice is that?
Well, we've gotten past, hello, how are you? Doing fine, haven't we?
Oh, yes, we have. My phone number is...
Aren't you going to ask me for mine?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm out of practice. It's been 11 years, you know.
I know. It's all right. I can add it to your phone if you want.
Okay.
If you just want to call and talk, that would be fine too.
Okay. You have beautiful eyes.
Thank you. You have nice ears.
Thanks. No one's ever told me that before.
They're nicely shaped. Hey, Jim, why don't we read from Amanda and the Mayans while we wait for our clothes? You can start.
You mean out loud?
Uh-huh. It'll be fun.
Well, I don't read very fast.
That's okay. It's better slow anyway.
The cover came off.
I know. I had it in my bag, and the other day a kid came and saw it and ran to the back of the bus with it. By the time I got it back, the cover had been torn off.
That's a shame.
I know. It had a great picture of Amanda on this horse between two chiefs. She was holding her blowgun. The kids loved it. I hope I don't get in trouble.
You won't. They stole it out of your bag.
You're right. Here's where I left off.
You sure you want me to do this?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me put my glasses on. Once they were on the plane, Amanda panted with anticipation as she playfully caressed his peace pipe. Is this gonna have sex in it?
Never mind. Why don't we just look at the pictures in this tabloid instead?
Okay.
Look at this. Godzilla lives. Evidence has been found to prove that Godzilla actually lived and that his spirit haunts Tokyo. It appeared that he is angry about how he's been portrayed in movies, and he wants to put an end to the bad acting once and for all.
I like Godzilla movies. Oh, look at this.
Oh, that's gross. Turn the page.
Let's read this one.
Okay. It says here that Betsy gave Jim all of his money back and even paid him interest on the loan. Wow, what a happy ending.
It doesn't say that.
No, it doesn't.
Well, Well, they do say relationships can form in the strangest of places. That was Jeff Priscorn as Jim and Angela Sarabia as Mandy with Spin Cycle by Andrew Martineau. Catherine, what did you think?
I really, really appreciated that the play was set in a laundromat.
Mm.
And one of the reasons why is that I'm always interested in what people's economic situation is. And in New York City, laundromats have a very specific profile, and that is that a certain amount of people have a washer and dryer either in their home or in their apartment basements. And what distinguishes the people that go to a laundromat is something that comes into play.
I love I going back to what you said about being set in a laundromat as well. I like the fact that that instance of forgetting the laundry soap just sparked a conversation that was the epicenter of the play, and it made me think about the whole idea of chance meetings and the people we meet in our life, and if only one small thing had been different, that meeting would never have taken place.
Absolutely. I agree with you. That's happened to be myself in pretty profound ways.
Mm. It also imagines you could almost make like a series of like people who've met in in this laundromat, like the fly on the wall scenario of being in this laundromat and seeing who meets and what happens and this kind of thing. So it almost feels like it could be a sector of that sort of idea as well. I do think they are both such lovely people. Because sometimes you look at a scenario and it's very clear that you have a good and a bad guy. Whereas in this case, they're not really, neither of them are bad people. I do, when Jim was talking about this woman in Alaska who he sends money to, I did took all resistance to go, oh, hun, that's not a relationship, no.
Well, maybe I was thinking the woman in Alaska is the potential antagonist.
Yeah,
Not that we can say that for sure, but I did like the detail also of the woman in Alaska asking him to lick her foot
yeah.
with after the ice cream incident, and that is a really interesting detail and a lovely one.
You can explore so much, like webbing outwards from this one conversation. So you look at Jim and his relationship, and you start to consider, the idea of there are relationships out there where men are taken advantage of by women. And it's not as freely discussed as it is about in relationships where women are taken advantage of by men, but it is still very much a thing. And I like the fact that Andrew made the person, suffering and being taken advantage of a man rather than a woman, because it does create an interesting dynamic that you don't see as often.
I agree. I agree. One could imagine a future for these two people.
Mm.
Uh, the tabloid at the end also is nicely ironic in terms of the chaos in the world and what these two people are up against, maybe in terms
Yeah.
of being kind-hearted people.
Yeah, and you're left as an audience thinking about the stuff that you haven't seen as well as the stuff that you have. So you think
Yeah,
about, because obviously Jim talks about his mother, and they talk about Betsy, and they talk about the people they've met outside of the laundromat. So not only are you getting a snapshot of this relationship, but you're also then left thinking afterwards about the lives they've now gone back to now that the show's over.
right, right. Absolutely.
Okay, we are almost out of time, but Catherine, your final thought on the piece as a whole.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I would love to. I also think it would be interesting because it lends itself to a variety of ways that it could be cast.
Mm.
And I always love that. So in other words, I could see it would be fun to see it to see a few productions of it where you see a variety of not only choices of casting, uh, but also I think it could be directed in certain ways that would make it different.
Mm.
And I see those as pluses for the piece.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Andrew, we have spoken. We need to see this piece as well as hear it. Okay, we are at the end. Catherine, thank you so much for being here with me and discussing this amazing play.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I enjoyed it.
And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to my fabulous guest, Catherine. Andrew is our wonderful featured playwright, and Jeff and Angela, who brought that brilliant play to life. We'll be continuing this full season in 2 weeks' time, and I hope you can join me then. But in the meantime, though, I've been Rachel Feeney-Williams. This is Theatrical Shenanigans, bringing down the curtain and saying, I hope you can join me next time. Theatrical Shenanigans is part of an RFW Scripts production, found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Podbean. Theme music is written and produced by Chris Cody.